Hello, welcome to We Have Issues. I'm Anthony,
And I am Stevie Wildcard.
and every week Steve Wildcard and I get together and we do our best to overcome the various issues and obstacles that life throws our way in order to make comic books. We've been trying to make comic books for like a billion years, Stephen, a billion years, and now we are on issue 3 of our supernatural superhero culty comedy comic called Deathless. We just kickstarted this issue on Kickstarter, and Stephen, we were successful. We made our
Super
goal. We
successful.
didn't really get to celebrate that because you weren't feeling very well, but we freaking did it. We made our goal, and now all we have to do is finish this book. Which, by the way, Stephen, we're making a lot of progress, and I can't freaking believe how well we're doing. I do want to save this though. I want to ask you before we get into how we did. What were your issues this week?
This week, it was just your typical like I'm married and have kids and a full-time job.
Yep.
Work this time of year is always more difficult because
Yeah.
all the superintendents that run like the jobs, not just the pool pavers or the driveway pavers, they're the ones building all the houses, suddenly get really good at their jobs because they want to get houses closed before the end of the year so they get their bonuses.
Right.
So these guys who have been dragging their feet, not looking up or looking at anything or any of that, suddenly become the best at their job and notice every flaw in
Of
everything
course.
and then expect everything is a 911. So every on top of dealing with the homeowner warranties, we have to like try to fit in all these new construction close warranties, and it's just headache.
Headache after headache. Yeah.
And
Oh,
then but start January 1st, they all go back into their little holes and they
but
hibernate until next November when it's time to start closing houses again.
hopefully the construction groundhog doesn't see his shadow. Whatever. You know, like, geez, that's
But on top of that, yeah, this week was just stuff with the kids, and then Tina and I had her Christmas party at her work, which is always a blast.
heck yeah.
We had a great time there, and then yeah, we took the Christmas themed things with the kids. So
Oh,
evenings,
so Stephen, I know. Okay, so like this Christmas party, right?
hmm
I know it's different from like the parties we used to have and go to, right? But like, what was your experience at the party like? I just need to know because like I know I always feel so weird. No matter who I know at a party, I always feel weird. So like, what is that? What was that
So
like?
I'm kind of like I'm like a veteran at
Yeah.
this party at this point because like first off Jeff is hosting it and Jeff is basically family. He's the one that runs this he owns the salon. Um Tina has literally worked there since like I think 2012, 2011, something like that. So Tina is the highest level there. So we kind of just, it's just a good time to be had. So there's like a sense of confidence even for someone like
Nice.
me who's not normally confident. Like I'm Steven. I'm Tina's husband.
Oh,
Um
okay, I see. I see.
yeah.
Okay.
And the funny thing is men who are married to or date hairstylists, these types of gatherings happen and we literally just end up going into our own little husband circles and
That's what
stuff
I
like
was gonna ask
that.
about. Okay, go on, go on.
So yeah, so like I know a lot of the other husbands and like we like get together this time of year because it's that's the time of the year. Let the girls go do their thing, and Grant, Tina and I still spent time together throughout the night. But once Tina's had like 3 or 4 drinks, she definitely like hunts down the karaoke machine and just starts
Oh my
singing
God.
away.
It's so funny because like my most embarrassing memory that I can recall that like one of my most embarrassing memories that doesn't involve like dating or anything like that is happened at a Create Christmas party. And
Really?
yeah, it was years ago because I was dating someone who, went there who worked at Create.
hmm
And dude, I'll never like I was just like Tina. I had some drinks and I drink too much, Steven. I drink too much. You know when you drink and you get that level of confidence, right? And you're like, "Oh yeah, I'm gonna go up there. I'm gonna belt one out. I got this." But then you realize that your eyes can't see the screen properly.
Oh
And
no.
that's the level of drunk I was. I was like I was just like, I'm very confident, not very literate. This is not a good combination for drunk Anthony right now. So I got up there, and Steven, at the time, I was singing. I remember like driving in my car, and I was singing like the song "Shout." You know that song, like a
hmm
little bit
You
softer
know you
now,
make yeah.
like that song. Yeah. So I was singing that song, but I was singing the MXPX like cover version of it because I always love like fun punk, like pop punk cover, like covers of songs. So I was like belting that out in my car. I'm like, oh yeah, I got this. I can. So then when I was like going up to karaoke and I saw that on the list, I was like, I can sing that. I've been singing that in the car all month. Like I got this. And of course I'm drunk, so like I'm like even more positive that I got this. And so I go up there and the guy's like, "Are you sure?" And I was like, I should have taken that as a hint. And what he should have said was, "No, you can't sing that song in front
You
of
can't
all of
handle
these
this right
people.
now.
He's like, you read these words. Okay, yeah, like he should have given me an eye test, like something, like give me something, okay? But he's like, yeah, you got this, drunk Anthony, which I did not. So dude,
Got a fucking dart in your neck. What?
I stood up there. I stood up there unable to read the words on the screen. Now, here's the reason I needed the words on the screen was for the timing of it. Because here's the thing that they don't like tell you when you just sing exclusively a cover version of a song for an extended period of time. The timing is so different
The
that like,
BPMs were probably like 20 beats like
dude,
slower.
yep, that's exactly what it is. So I'm
Slow enough to just like where like you see it but you feel it but you don't feel it. So then it's like, where's that time at?
Yep. That's exactly the case. So like the MXPX version was like faster, so I was like a little ahead of the music and I was like, oh yeah, but I'm drunk and I'm just like I don't know how to navigate time. I'm not good at it when I'm sober. I'm just like, dude, I was so basically
I
what
just imagine your body and brain was like Doctor Strange spirited away, and it's like, what's happening?
what's
Your body's like, what's happening right now? What's happening right now is you're singing MXPX, and they're playing some guy from the 80s or 70s that you
oh,
have no recollection of.
nope.
Can you
Uh
assist? There's no assisting.
Dude, I remember like I got through I might have said like 12 words throughout the whole thing, awkwardly standing up there while people were like looking at me. And I put the like after the song was over, I put the mic down and like I walked over and I sat down and this other guy, because it was a similar situation where it was like, the boyfriends
Yeah.
of the girls, he was like, that was rough. I'm like, I was like, yes, yes, it was. It was the worst, dude. It was the worst. But yeah, I mean, that's funny. I know, so I know what that's like. I know what those parties are like. That's cool though. It's fun that you get to do that stuff.
Except Tina took over the karaoke machine and she basically just played Taylor Swift. Like she did like the 10-minute version of All Too Well, which is just great just to
Oh
do
my
at a
God.
party.
Oh my, it's great to do with a bunch of people around. No, I love that. That's so funny though. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't know. Whenever I think about karaoke, I'm never sure like which experience I want, right? Because like you kind of want to laugh at people. Like you kind of want to
Mhm.
be like, oh, he's doing like All Star by Smash Mouth, and like it's funny because he's not great at it, and it's already a goofy song. Or but like sometimes you get those people who are like too good, and you're like, why are you
Yeah.
doing karaoke? Get out of here.
We don't need Filipino karaoke, which by the way, if you've ever wanted to look YouTube
Do
anything,
it.
YouTube Filipino karaoke, because the people as a whole are just incredible at karaoke. It is wild.
Well, that's why they had the whole Frank Sinatra killings there. Remember that? Did we talk about that on the podcast?
I think we did, right?
I
Or
think we
did
did.
we?
So yeah, like so
Yes, because
people in the
people
Philippines are so like passionate about the karaoke that like they had murders. I think it was in the Philippines, right? But yeah, it was
I'm pretty
and
sure that's
it was
that's
like people who would do My Way by Frank Sinatra were getting killed in karaoke because people were getting like aggressive about it and saying like they were messing up the song. And that's like taking it super seriously, as you should, because if you're not first, you're last, even with karaoke.
yeah.
But
It just
dude,
amazes me how many of them can nail Journey songs though. Like
nuts.
over in the Philippines. Like it's like serious. Like dude, like Whitney Houston, dude, like most of the videos I found on YouTube are literally just family members recording with a cell phone. Like it's not like
Yeah.
these are they're the
It's not
best of
that
the
like
best from their country. No,
yeah.
this is just
Yeah, dude,
uh
it's intense.
they just have
But
the best vocal cords. It's crazy.
so you had a good week, right? I mean,
Yeah,
mostly.
it was definitely a fulfilling week, and yeah, it was good times to be had.
Nice.
Was your week busy with? Did
Dude,
anything get in the way of your week?
okay, so I had a really good week. I'll tell you, like this week, I was generally great. I had a good time. I had, like I've been really happy lately. I'll tell you, Steven, I've been I've been a super sore loser lately. Like, and I
Oh
real
no.
I find myself like anytime I'm like playing a game, like a competitive game, and like I'm losing more than once, I'm just like my life is over. Like I'm just like my whole spirit has been dead. I'm just like, what is happening? And I like it's so funny, and like I can point to a couple of things from like my childhood that probably instigated that sort of like response in me. But it's weird because I haven't felt that in a long time, but I've also like I don't know, like I was historically like I'm good at games. Like, you and I would always have like competitions. Like we never got
Hmm.
neither of us got like aggressive or angry or
Mm-mm.
anything about it because it was fun because you'd win some and then I'd win some. We go back and forth with like
We'd set the scores for
set the
each other.
scores for each other and it was fun. Like I love that level of competition, but like dude, like lately, I don't know what it is. Like maybe I'm just like I'm gonna blame my like flattening eyes. Like maybe I just can't like I'm not seeing things properly because like dude, like lately like we'll play Crossy Road, right? And like I used to be really good at games like that, like historically really good at like those sort of games. Like I'll play Frogger, I'll get the high score, and like the Cubert, I'll get the high score, like all those. But I go to play Crossy Road, and I'd be like, oh, I got 15 points, and then everyone else is getting like 100 points. I'm like, why am I not seeing this? Like, what is happening? Why
What
aren't my
am I
fingers?
in like this weird level of hell where I don't know I'm in hell yet? There's just very subtle things that are
So yeah, that's what I
altered.
mean. I literally, that's what I said that to KT where I was like, listen, I feel like I used up all of my luck to make this work. I
Mhm.
was like, I was like, I have a lot of good things going on, especially with our relationship and like with like the way the comics going, and now I have all this time to work on things. My relationship with Atlas is super strong and all of that. Yeah, everything is going really well. But like the other things, like being lucky with games or anything like that, it's all gone. Like it's just like depleted completely. I am bankrupt, like with any amount of luck. So it's
All
just
talent points taken out of video games and other techniques
it
to be
feels
applied to this one situation.
Dude, it feels that way, and it's crazy. I'm like, did I jump realities where like now my body is incapable of gaming? Or I was like, why?
If
And
this reality was like, oh, he's happy, then he must be in the reality where he's not good at a lot of things, but his
right,
life is great everywhere else. Okay, we're just gonna shift the whole.
let's just shift. Let's compensate. Like, oh, if he's happy here, he has to be miserable somewhere. Where I'm just like, no, I don't want to be miserable. And it's not like I have to win every time. It's just that I want everyone else to lose every time, Steven. Every time.
I
No,
want
no.
to see the tears in their eyes. It
But
feeds me.
But it's just a matter of like I think it's a numbers game. Like okay, so KT taught me how to play Rummy, right? Like this a card game. I'd never played before, and I don't expect to be like really good at anything right away, right? But I also don't expect to lose four times in a row. Like and I would like mercilessly get beaten. I'm just like, okay, cool. And like what sucks about it is, of course, there's like, there's some skill or like there are strategies you can employ, but there's also a huge amount of luck involved. So it's
Mhm.
like when you play
Anything card game based, really.
yeah. So when you're playing a card game and you're like, okay, well, there are only so many strategies to employ, and I understand them. I'm not stupid. So then it's like, all right, well, now I need some level of luck. If I have these cards, I need that like another card. I need like one of these several cards to be pulled. I need to Maverick it, like the movie Maverick, and be like, I need a freaking ace. And that magic just has not been there lately. I'm just like, and it makes me so miserable. And I'm just like, I hate that about myself. And I'm just like, I need to stop. I've been trying to get a little bit better, so I'm like recognizing it. But what I don't want to do is I don't want to like stop playing games though. Like that's the
Mhm.
weirdest part where I'm just like, I need to win, Steven, but I also need to like temper that response somehow, while I'm like, and because I also think like that response and like it's kind of like clouding my head so that I'm not winning more and then it's just like perpetuating it. You know?
Mhm.
I hate that, dude. I'm so not used to losing like that, and that like now I'm in this weird funk, and I'm like, oh, this is gross. It's the worst way to.
Damn.
The
Being in a
worst.
losing funk in games is it is stressful for sure. I completely understand that. Like
Yeah.
you just
It
feel like and then like for some reason it just makes you feel like nothing matters. Like
yes, and
it
what?
puts you in a weird headspace. It
Yes,
does.
dude. And it's like when you start. and it's like when it rains, it pours. You start feeling those losses, and then it becomes like selective attention. You start recognizing, like, even any minor wins. Like, usually in life, I'd like to celebrate any victory that we have, and I try my best to just be like, yeah, like all small victories are a step toward like the greater success that we're hoping to achieve eventually. It's like all part of that
Hmm.
journey. But when you're losing, it's hard to even see like, oh yeah, well, I lost by less that time. I knew I'm progressing. I am getting better. Like it's just like all of that's gone because like it's all of your attention is on the fact that you lost, and it's just like your
Hmm.
perspective is shifted and it's so hard to see the forest, through the trees and such. And dude, honestly, I kind of think that like I've been in that funk with our podcast too, like did you see that thing I posted where like all of last month we lost 3 subscribers? Like
Really?
okay, but like we didn't gain any subscribers. Like as a whole, we just lost 3 subscribers. I was like, oh great. Like no one knew like followed us. No, it's just like we just happened to
Hmm.
lose 3 people. And I'm like, that stinks. So then I'm just like wearing all of that stuff. And like I need to stop. I need to just like remember the small victories. Like the truth is like people are still watching our show. Like there's someone watching right now. If you're watching right now, thank you. We appreciate
Hmm.
you and we love you. And we just know that we really it means everything to us that you show up for our show at all, let alone week after week. And we're really thankful to have you here. If you're here for the first time, thank you. Please make sure you hit the subscribe button. It would mean a lot to us. And I promise our show is usually a good time. Speaking of that, Stephen, I do have some things I want to talk about really quick, but like
Ooh.
aside from how my week went. Stephen, it's Christmas time, and as much as we know that Christmas episode, we can't do like a Christmas themed episode because no one watches them. If we're dressed up, people are like they put in extra effort. Don't watch that one.
Stay
What?
far away.
What? I don't get it.
Steven is Ebenezer Scrooge?
Dude,
Nah.
yeah, I literally did like a ghost effect throughout an episode. Did people watch it? No. It's so funny. But what I do want to do is, Steven, I've been watching a lot of Christmas movies, right? Like we like as a family, we started watching some Christmas movies. We're getting in the spirit. We have our tree up. We have all this stuff. And it occurred to me, Steven, that in all of these Christmas movies in which Santa Claus is real, the adults don't believe in Santa Claus. Now, how, Steven? How? Think about this. Now you
Because
can't
if Santa is real, kids are getting gifts that are unexplainable.
exactly, Steven, exactly. So if okay, like right now, you and I were like we're adult people. If suddenly there were a slew of gifts that we didn't buy, guess what? We're like, oh, there's a really kind person performing B&Es all around the world who is what? Like, what are you talking about? It's a cryptid. It's a cryptid jolly man with a big beard, and he's real, obviously. What are you doing? So I don't understand it. I don't understand these movies where it's like like Elf is like that, the Santa Claus is like that. All of these movies have Santa. So it leads me to believe that the Santa in these movies is giving no gifts to the majority of people, right? So like
There's the naughty list is much longer than we ever
that's
anticipated.
that's what I'm thinking. Like I'm thinking that like what if it takes a lot to get these presents? Like what if it takes like an absurd amount? It's like he's literally like, well, you're not getting into heaven.
Just
Like
straight up like,
what is
ooh,
it?
you ate 3 cookies when you told your mom you were only going to eat 2. You did this on February 2nd, and now you don't get
Now you
anything.
get to go to hell. That's your
You
I'm
you
sorry,
bird.
perpetual. Dude, it's just so weird. It's so funny because like where do they think the presidents are coming from? And what just there's so much because they got presents as kids. Were their parents lying to them? Is this just something that we all do forever? Are parents not able to see the presents? Can they not see like the kid riding the bike or whatever they're doing? I don't understand it. I don't understand how that works at all.
It's amazing to me how many kids are such great mimes in America. It's
Dude, it's so crazy. But yeah, we've been watching a lot of Christmas movies, and there's so much they're really fun. I really do like the first two the Santa Claus movies. They're cute, they're fun, and they hold up. The third one makes no sense. Have you ever seen the Santa Claus? The one with
doesn't he like who's in it?
Martin Short's in it as Jack Frost.
Okay.
Did you see that
And
one?
Tim Allen's still in it too?
Yeah.
Is it? Oh,
Well,
Okay.
actually, the entire cast comes back for all of them, which is impressive, but
That
also
is
like,
very impressive for such a movie.
dude, okay, the Santa Claus 3 though, it posits a world in which he has a freaking wife. Okay, so he has a wife, he gets into her in the second one, right? It's like, oh yeah, I have a wife now. Cool. I get that. You need a Mrs. Claus, right? But in the third one, she's like, she's pregnant, gonna have a baby. She wants her parents to be there, but he's like, "Oh, your parents can't come here because then we'd have to tell them that I'm Santa Claus, and we can't do that." And that's what the whole drama of that movie is all surrounding, except for the fact that from the first movie, his ex-wife knows that he's Santa Claus. Not only
No,
that, like Tim Allen's
yeah,
ex-wife
yeah.
knows that he's Santa Claus, and also Tim Allen's ex-wife's boyfriend knows that he's Santa Claus and knows that Santa Claus is real. So it's like, wait, wait, wait. If these random people who aren't connected or who aren't currently in your family can know that you're Santa Claus, why can't your father-in-law know that you're Santa Claus? What,
It makes
what,
zero sense.
what's the problem there?
What are the Santa Claus laws in this
What are the
universe?
Santa like? Not to mention like who? It's like the Sultan at the end of Aladdin, where it's like you make the rules, idiot. You know, like you're the one. What are you talking? Who's made? Stop it. You know, like there's a whole council of like like mythological creatures, but like they didn't say anything about these goobers who you told you're Santa Claus. That's crazy. Just kill them and let the grand let these people know. It's fine. Um, but dude, it's nuts. Not to mention they're like Jack Frost is in it, and his whole thing is like he wants his own holiday, but he doesn't have his own holiday, and he tries to kind of take over Christmas or make it about him, and his punishment is community service in the North Pole, which it's like letting Loki loose in Asgard and just being like, you have free reign of the kingdom, Loki. Don't try to do anything." And he's like, "Haha, I won't." And it's like,
I'm gonna.
what
Why
are you
would you
doing?
do?
Why would you
Why?
do that?
Why are you putting him in his strongest realm? Like
Right?
he's just.
It makes no sense. Like I
You
mean, it's
should put
essentially
him in wherever the heat miser likes to be. Wherever the heat miser likes to be is where Jack Frost needs to be. Okay.
exactly, dude. And it's just like it's so funny. So they throw him into the North Pole, and they're like, "Yeah, go ahead. Just don't cause any trouble." And all he does is create complete chaos. And then just he steals Christmas, and it's all ridiculous. The whole movie is insane, and none of it makes sense. And none of it has to happen because all they had to do was tell the freaking grandparents that he was Santa Claus. And it's the easiest thing in the world to
And
prove
it's
because
solved.
he's Santa Claus, and it's solved. So I don't the whole movie didn't have to happen, you know? It was, oh,
But money had to happen,
money had
Anthony.
to happen, dude.
Money had to happen.
Ugh. It's so weird how like some movies get away with that where it's just like none of this mattered, you know? Like none of this had to happen, but now we're back, you know. Like I watched a movie recently where like the whole thing was a dream and everyone loved it. And I was like, I don't get it. Like I thought we weren't on board with the whole movie being a dream because nothing mattered. Nothing happened in
Yeah,
the
there's
movie.
no.
The whole thing was a dream, you know? So it's those kind of things are crazy. Anyway, Steven, another important thing happened this week that I do have to bring up. Atlas got a yellow belt.
Oh, congratulations, Atlas.
Dude, dude, Atlas went up there and he freaking like he kicked a board in twain, like in half, like broke this freaking. I don't know what these boards are saying to these children, but it has to be racist. Like I don't know, it can't be
Has
good.
to be incredibly offensive.
It can't be nice. That being said, I know we have some questions from the colony
Ooh.
about like like the sort of things that we don't think people should say on podcasts and such. So like let's you know what, let's do it. Let's do a questions from the colony segment, Steve. When you hit me with that sweet song.
You are sipping your Christmas cocoa, but you're thinking, ponder to yourself, hey, what would Anthony or Steven say about this? So you get on your phone or your laptop, possibly your desktop computer, and you punch in some sentences so you could ask us some questions from the colony with Steven and my best friend Anthony. We're gonna rock it down on Christmas night because we're both Santa Claus.
That's right.
Just it's just truth.
It's just truth. So if you're watching for the first time, every once in a while, My best friend Steve and I, we like to field some questions from those of you who might be listening and watching out there. We're trying to make a colony of people here. We welcome our the space to all the people in the world because we're just here to avoid all of the other nonsense that happens out there because it's scary and weird and frustrating and it makes me mad. It makes me so mad, Steven, all of it. I don't want anything to do
Just
with anything else. That's why anything happening over there, I just don't want it. I don't want it.
I want to
So
look.
so we
Don't
stay
look
here.
twice. Don't make
No,
eye
we
contact.
bury our head in the sand and we are an ostrich colony. We all just like we poke our heads down and we talk amongst ourselves in our little ostrich hole. And sometimes people have questions for us, and we're going to answer some of those today. All right, so we have some questions here. The first one comes from my wonderful fiance, KT Carlisle. She asks, "Who would win in a fight, Aquaman or Mickey Mouse, and why is it Mickey Mouse?" What do you think, Stephen? Why would Mickey Mouse? Okay, let's answer it this way. How could Mickey Mouse beat Aquaman?
So Mickey Mouse will beat Aquaman in a few years when Warner Brothers accidentally bunks the DC universe again, which James Gunn, I am not wishing that on you. I really do have full faith in your Superman reboot, and I
Mhm.
hope everything works out. But when Warner Brothers ends up having to turn tail and sell to Disney, then Mickey just wins. Aquaman belongs to Mickey at that point. How do you defeat your boss? You know,
That's fair.
so that's how Mickey would beat him. But I mean, let's see. I mean, Mickey Mouse has shown some incredible feats. He's basically a Looney Tune. I
Yeah.
mean, he's got cartoon powers, right? I mean, that's the thing that we need to weigh here. And it's like the same with like how like when people start gauging like One Piece against like other animes, like when a character has like the cartoon power, they should technically always win.
That's true. Okay, I like to imagine like Aquaman. Okay, what are his strengths against Mickey Mouse, right? So like he could send like sea life, sea creatures after Mickey, but they're not going to be near the sea, right? We have to imagine like it's just like
So starts his Aquaman begins his assault on Steamboat Mickey,
there we go. Okay,
and
so
he's like whistling, and then
Whistling.
all of a sudden like a shark flies out, right?
Yeah. So Mickey has obviously cartoony powers, right? So he's able to like woo woo woo, like kind of like they become spaghetti legs and all of that, and he can avoid anything. He's practically invincible. He can also be squished to ridiculous amounts. And then I'd like to imagine that Aquaman does that cool like his coolest move that people never seem to remember that he has or use, which is he can dehydrate things by touching them. So I like to imagine that he like reaches out and completely like dehydrates all of the liquid from Mickey Mouse, which is all of him because he's made of ink. But
Yeah,
what Aquaman doesn't realize is because he's completely composed of ink and all of his animated faculties exist within every bit of that ink, it swells and becomes like a mass around Aquaman. And he uses the fact that he was dissipated like that to destroy Aquaman.
just
Like it's like he becomes his final form, which is essentially I am now the ink and I can be anything. So
I
in
am any and all.
yeah,
But
so I like
maybe
to
a world breaking thing would be cool too, is if like you try to kill Mickey in the cartoon form, but then it just breaks down into all the cells because it's
nice.
20 so many frames per
Yeah.
second for each animation, and like he exists in an infinite amount of frames,
Oh
and
yeah.
like
Oh, that's true. Very
you know what I'm
cool. I
saying?
love that
Like,
idea.
well,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
got me in this frame, but and then like,
Not to mention, Mickey also has the breaking the fourth wall, the animator who would work
mhm,
for him and is able to draw any item that he needs or any weapon
mhm.
that he needs. So Mickey could definitely
He
win that.
just draws Superman for him. He's just like,
Let me see. Okay. She also asks, when are pogo sticks the preferred mode of transportation? When you're Ghost Rider.
when you are a Ghost Rider, and that is because anything is faster when you got hell underneath it.
Absolutely. All
Feels
right.
like a slogan. That feels like a good slogan.
Anything's
Anything's faster when you got hell underneath it.
I love that.
I don't know what it's gonna be for, but
But it's gonna work. It's gonna solve some
obviously the pogo stick company we're gonna start.
right. All right. Number three. What are your writing and illustrating goals for 2025? What are your goals for 2025?
Issue 4 and 5, I think,
Yeah,
is
that's
my
what I
goal.
was hoping you'd say. I think we should finish Deathless next year for
Yeah.
sure. Aside from that, I do want to work on like other projects. Like I have like some cryptid ideas and like short story ideas. I do want to finish my novel. I have a lot more time, dude, which is like so nice having this extra time and just like having a space and feeling like so, like just I have no pressure on me anymore, so I can just get stuff done. Like I got a lot done today, which we'll talk about soon after our questions. But like, dude, it's been so nice. But this year, yeah, I want to finish the two issues and get as much done as we can. All right, we have some questions from Levi. Levi asked,
Levi.
all right, episode topics. What are the things to never talk about on a podcast? Not just yours, and with focus on why and whether we should continue not doing those things or eschew norms and create new ever-shifting rules. Okay, so first we'll just address that. So what are things you think no one should talk about on podcasts? Are there anything? Like, is there anything?
I think that rule is kind of like I feel like that's not like a stamped in the ground like rule for every podcast. I would say that the things you can't say on your podcast is what you have grown your audience to expect and listen to. Like don't like come out of left field
Yeah.
with different topics that like if you aren't a political commentary podcast, not that you can't comment on political situations that maybe pertain to you specifically, but don't lean into that all the time because I mean unless that's like the fan base you've cultivated, like I mean I
Well,
feel like I think that's the biggest problem with anything, right, is not knowing your own brand or knowing your own
well, it's essentially not
market,
reading the room, whatever
not
that.
reading the room. Like
Not having the self-awareness enough to know what you're doing. But yeah, no, I honestly I don't think there is anything that you can never talk about on a podcast. I don't think any topic should be, off the table. I just think that you need to recognize the appropriate context in which to have those
mhm,
conversations. And like like Steve and I, like we talk about a lot of things. Like in our private lives, we have different conversations than we have here, but we also have very similar conversations as what
mhm.
we have here. So it's fun to do this, but we also want to give people a place away from, just like a space outside of the like just arguing and like the political and cultural and all of the differences that people find out there. And just ignore them here, and we're gonna just do whatever we can to just
We're gonna sip our
enjoy
cocoa
our
and talk about ostriches.
yeah, we're gonna sip our Kool-Aid, talk about ostriches, and try to just find common joys and live in this weird creative love that we have. And it works for us. Like I love doing this, and I love the people that we've made friends with through this, and people seem to appreciate it. And yeah, I know our views slip, and like they kind of like dip and dive, and like we have warps and whoops and all kinds of changes, but. I like what we're doing, and
Hmm.
I like having a space where people can just escape all that stuff because I know at times in other places, almost every other place on the internet, it's inescapable. So I'm with you where
And I think to some extent it becomes inescapable, especially on these kinds of platforms, because it generates views and clicks. And
yes, no, dude, that's
you're trying to say stuff that's gonna incite someone just to get not only the positive views but the hate views. Like that's the crazy part about this type of stuff.
I'll tell you, like for instance, okay, I'll tell you guys, like last week, right? Last week, I did like you were sick, so I had KT on, and we were talking, and she set me up by like just in conversation, I felt like this perfect setup for a funny joke, and it was such a good joke, and I said it, and it like cracked her up, which I was like, yeah, it was a great situation. But that being said, it was like, oh, this might upset someone. And I was like, I don't want to upset anyone, even though it wasn't offensive. There's no, like it wasn't like vitriolic. There's no hate or anything. There's no ism to be found in it. It's just a matter of like weird, controversy where someone might find something to be frustrated at. And I didn't want it. Like, yeah, I didn't want it, even though we might even benefit from it because like people might comment in the section like, blah, 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 and then we get pushed in the algorithm as being something worthy of talking to,
Hmm.
But I just decided to like just delete it. I deleted all of it and I was like, it was a good joke. But I'd rather like lose a couple of those and just keep the sanity.
Keep everything kosher. Well,
Yeah.
not even kosher, keeping everything solid.
Yeah, dude. Oh,
We
but
show no favoritism.
all right. Levi also asked or said, side talk on how podcasting is the evolved form of radio talk shows. Yeah, I don't know. I suppose you can say it's the evolved form. I think in that people don't want to search through the radio, and like, younger people especially are, looking for, whatever they can find content-wise on the various platforms that they already have access to, and they're
Mhm.
looking based on
It's
topics.
all about it's all about ease of access, right?
Yeah,
Like
absolutely.
anything that's going to allow them to like search a parameter on demand anytime. That's just what it is. And like
That-
radio can't provide that, right? I
yeah,
mean, and don't get me wrong, like if you really do look in some markets though, like their talk radio has become more popular again because streaming music is so simplified now that why would you listen to a music
right.
station? You know what I'm saying? Like
That's
in
so true.
hopes that your song will come on. It doesn't make any sense when you literally
No,
have
I will never understand.
every mean to get to that song besides radio, right? So,
Yeah.
but yeah, I mean, like podcasting is like I guess that, and I guess in some ways it is the evolved form of talk radio because, like we're saying, it can be hyper fixated onto a topic that you
And that's the
individually care about, and
yeah.
that's
That's true. Yeah, that's true. And I think that's that's kind of where we struggle because we're kind of a comic book making podcast that doesn't really talk about comics. So like, what do people search for to find our show? Where it's like, oh, best friends being best friends. Like, I don't know.
we're just two guys and we're having a good time,
Having a good time.
having a good time.
But yeah, we're just like some guys. So I don't know. It's like, would people stop and listen to us if they were just like randomly going through the radio? I suppose it depends on what we're talking about. If we're saying something controversial, which we never do on our show, they might stop and they'd be like, "Oh, I hate this guy," and they'd like,
Mm.
have a whole response to it and like have
We
to.
all listen to things that we hate on purpose. It just happened. It's human nature. It's like I can't explain it.
I
So
wonder if we have any like hate listeners. If you're watching this right now and you're like, "Oh man, I watch this every week because these guys," let us know in the comments. If actually, if you made it this far in the episode, comment below and let us know like what your favorite part of our show is has been so far. I'd really appreciate it. Okay, Stephen, we have
and
one last.
if you've somehow made it this far and hate this show, please let us know what fuels your hatred so we can pour that out to other people that might hate us similarly.
Let's see. All right, Stephen, we have one more question. Or well, two more questions. Tell us about your tattoos, Stephen. Do you have like tell them about your back tattoo that you have, your lower back?
So my lower back tattoo is this it's this huge unicorn dragon piece.
It's nice.
Yeah, it's spewing like the most beautiful array of fire out of its mouth and buttocks. It's just a double,
Yeah,
it's like just blasting from both ends. And in its hand is an empty bag of Taco Bell.
it's beautiful, Stephen. It's
It's
beautiful.
gorgeous.
The cat dog of dragons. Um, I
One
have
fine day with a roar and a roar.
I have a Madman in the classic Hamlet pose, and I have Ash that you can't really see because I'm wearing long sleeves.
Not Ketchum, ladies and gentlemen.
He could be. He has a new chainsaw arm. But yeah, I have those two, and I have a secret third half tattoo. But yeah,
It
that's
is also a unicorn
it's
dragon
also
tramp
a
stamp that's
unicorn
eating
cat
Taco
dog.
Bell.
No, it's just no. Mine is just the cat dog unicorn dragon, but he's just eating the tacos. He doesn't have the bag, just mouthful of tacos.
Actually, Anthony and I have a shared tattoo. On my back, it's this, and on his, it's so it's just like that scene from Dodgeball. Like we have like Globo Gym, like just animated between our two backs, basically.
Charlie's last question is, and do you think the moon could be a mummy?
Whew, that would be crazy if the moon was just a mummified thing. And like,
Really?
are we going horror mummy though, where it's like it's encased and it's gonna come back to life? Like it's like this.
Can you imagine like the moon? It's like, oh, we've never seen the dark side of the moon. And then like news comes out like the moon seems to be spiraling toward Earth somehow. And then we just see
Oh man,
it's
it
just
has
a
a.
face. It's just a big face. Like it's terrifying. Oh my
Oh
God.
man, that would be so scary, wouldn't it?
That would be pretty scary. I could the moon be a mummy? Yes. Is it more likely a werewolf? Probably. It's why is the mummy like the god of werewolves? That's kind of a cool story, I guess. It's
What if the moon did turn around and it was just like someone had their telescope, like, oh, we'll finally get to see. And they like zoom in, and there's just packs and packs of like werewolves running on the other
Yeah,
side of the
they're
moon.
just
And
always.
then they like move the telescope a little further. They see like scientist werewolves like figuring something out. And then move a little further. They see like a werewolf rocket ship like aiming towards Earth. And it's like you're just slowly seeing like alien werewolves ready to like make
Oh,
landfall.
that would be absolutely terrifying. I mean, yeah, I just watched the werewolf apocalypse movie called Werewolves, and Steven, it wasn't good. It wasn't a good movie. It was very
Yes.
disappointing. It was very sad. I would rather watch Space Wolves. I would rather like I think Space Wolves is the way to go for this movie, for any movie. Anyway, those are all of our questions for today. Steven, let's like before we get out of here, let's talk about how we did this week. How did you do this week?
I have squeezed in almost every cameo, and
You're
I have already shaded 2 pages. So
Dude,
I'm just gonna.
it looks so good. I freaking can't wait. Did I send you the link with the letters that I've done already?
Yes, I've seen
Okay.
some. Well, the letters that you sent me are just the straight up letter panels, though,
Yeah, yeah.
right?
Yeah, it's just the
Okay.
letter. Yeah, just lettering. Dude, I did 6 pages of lettering today, including the one page with like the logo or the title, the sorceress title over it, which I was like, I think that's pretty cool. Did you
Yeah,
like?
I love it. Yeah.
Dude, I'm so excited. Like I had to cover one of the puzzle pieces because like I could make it work, but I was like I think it looks cooler if it's solid and just like the
Hmm.
he's already covering it. But anyway, it I did 6 pages today. I was like, freak yeah, that means I'm definitely gonna finish by Friday. So like, and the way we're going, we're gonna be done in like a week or so. It's not gonna take us
It's
very
not gonna
long.
take. This is the easiest part of the whole
Yeah.
shebang. So
So like, do you want as you finish your shading, do you want to just send me the pages and I'll put the letters on and put
yeah,
the
that because like I could try to put those balloons on, but I'm afraid of like the transferring from my phone to like
Oh, I
through the
see what
link,
you're
to the iPad and pasting because like Procreate just isn't Photoshop in that
saying.
way.
Yeah,
You know what
that's
I'm saying? Like I don't trust the files
No, just
coming.
okay, yeah,
You
just
know.
you send me your like your finish as you send me finished pictures, like the finished pages, I'll drop the letters on there and I'll
Yeah,
start
I'll
like
just create a new folder on the drive and I'll
yeah.
start saving
Oh,
final
dude,
colors onto it.
it's awesome. I'm so excited for the way this book's coming together. It's like it's so close and like I love it because we just finished the Kickstarter and we're gonna get this book out like really soon and we have until March, but like it's gonna, it's happening before then, which feels so good and I love
It
that.
does.
Speaking of which, so what are you gonna do this week? Like, what do
I
you
mean,
aim?
I'm just gonna color as many as I can, but like it's not like I could finish it, but it all depends on what my time looks like. But it takes about an hour or so a page.
Yeah.
So just realistically, if I could squeeze in that many hours this week on it, I could finish. But I'm aiming for at least 10 pages though. So
Nice. Heck yeah, dude. I'm gonna finish all the letters this week for sure. Like I'm
that's
gonna
awesome.
finish by Friday. I'm gonna finish that, and then as you send me pages, I'm going to drop all those
And I
off.
will. I'll just update them as I
Yeah.
do them too.
And then I'll
So
also create, whenever I'm done with the letters, I'm going to jump right into creating like the back page and like like all of the other pages that like we haven't created, because I always like to do like the very back of the
hmm
book with like the cool, like, the
hmm
ice on it with like their color and that stuff. Like I like that stuff. I think it's like it's a fun little thing for the book. But that's what we're doing this week. Thank you all for listening. Thank you for watching. I really appreciate the heck out of you. Steven, what do you want to say to the people here?
as always, thank you so much for joining in each and every week, even on weeks where I'm not present. Like Anthony holds down the fort. KT, thank you so much for joining. You're a lovely man. But I appreciate each and every one of you for backing our Kickstarter, watching our podcast, and just being our friends. Thank you so
Yes.
much.
Thank you so much. We really do appreciate you, and we're just so thankful to have you here every single week. Please remember to like share our show around if you can. If you made it this far, comment below. Let us know that you're part of the colony. Let us know that you're here for us, and let us know that what your favorite werewolf movie is, because I want to see more werewolf movies. Also, if you have any theories about why no one knows that Santa Claus is real, even though he's clearly delivering presents every single year to families around the world, please let me know. Because there's some theory that I don't know about or haven't thought of, because I'm
Got to
like,
be Christmas magic,
it's breaking my brain.
Christmas black magic, basically.
Right? It's so weird because like, well, why don't we ever see a movie where the kids are like, "Oh my God, I got a PlayStation," and the parents are like, "I didn't. I bought a PlayStation." Like is it like, do they become zombies? Like what is it? Or do they just because there's no way I know you're not supposed to look a gift horse in the mouth, but like Is Santa threatening them? Does Krampus kill you if you accidentally like admit that you didn't buy something?
He's like, you know, there is the naughty list, but then there's the people who don't make it seem like I don't exist.
yeah, what are
And
you
if you
talking?
don't keep up that facade, I'm gonna break your kneecaps with this giant candy cane. Like,
Yeah, well, like if if adults believe in Santa, they get killed. So they're
mm,
like, no, there's definitely no Santa. Oh no, I don't believe in that. Like, it's
mm.
what? What are you talking about? Oh, maybe. Okay, Steven, here's a thought. Here's a thought. Maybe you have to believe in Santa to get the consequences of Santa, like to reap the rewards or the punishments, right? So maybe as adults, when we start doing bad things, where like people lie to their boss, people cheat on their wives, people do this stuff, maybe they are afraid to get punished. So maybe they know that there's some sort of
So
Krampus
I
out
have to like not believe in this guy,
there. Yeah.
otherwise he's gonna give me like the worst coal
So
like
maybe
ever.
he's going to kill me. Yeah, maybe something bad's going to happen because I'm so naughty and I don't want that. So I'm just going to keep this facade up of I don't believe, I don't believe, I don't believe because now I don't get any gifts, but I also don't get any punishments. That's the only thing I can imagine because otherwise it makes no sense. And it has to make sense, Stephen. It has to make sense. But
Make
anyway,
your fictional universe make sense to
yeah, I
me.
need it. I need it to. But thank you all. Thank you all for being a part of this. We really freaking appreciate you. But until next week, I'm Anthony.
I'm Stevie Wildcard.
This has been We Have Issues. We'll see you next time.
Boom. Boom, 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 boom. And I'm just gonna skip ahead. Boom, 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 boom.
Oh God,
Not
yeah.
every night is a time to drink, and like your body
No,
just, and you don't know until you start. That's the thing
it's
about drinking.
it's so funny. Like Katie and I, like we were just talking about that. Where it was like the other night we had some wine. And actually, oh my God, so we don't have we just moved into this place, and like there are things that you don't like little blind spots that you don't realize you have until they reveal themselves. So we don't have a wine opener. We realized,
Mm.
because like we're not big wine drinkers.
Which is a very particular tool that serves its purpose, and you cannot do it without it. Like
Dude,
it's like,
it's ridiculous. So like, of course we do the thing that everyone our age does, which like you hop on YouTube and you're like, teach me how to do a magic thing, genie. And they're like, oh, well, okay, so they're like, you can use a shoe, and I'm like, well, I'm definitely gonna watch like three of these videos. What are you talking about? How can
how
I use
did these
a
people
shoe?
succeed with such a tool?
Yeah, how like you're telling me I can take my shoe off right now and open a wine bottle, and they're like, yes, you can, and you can. You can actually put the bottle against like into the shoe, and you beat it against the wall until the pressure pushes the cork out just enough for you to pop it out, which you can do, but is also terrifying. Who wants to slam glass against the wall and be like, oh yeah, I'm gonna be good at this for the first time ever? Like,
People that
why?
live on their edge and don't own corkscrews.
Who's like, I don't need to buy a corkscrew. I have two shoes. Like, I can open two bottles of wine like this. I'm double fisting wine. That didn't work.
Some redneck walks up with a lighter and opens up a wine bottle somehow with
No one knows how
it.
this is working. Yeah, they put the wine bottle on the edge of a counter and just slam it. How does
Just
that even work?
I don't even know how that worked.
So like we ended up so I was like, okay, I know I've done it in the past, as younger Anthony, like previously in Anthony's life. Like I've like jammed a cork into the wine bottle with various tools, but like I've always had like cork in the wine after doing that. It's like
Cork residue.
like the residue, and like, I don't want that, So I was like, "Ah, all right, I want to avoid it, couldn't avoid it, but I ended up like taking a screwdriver and trying really hard to just like, oh, okay, don't, I'm just gonna one piece, it's gonna one piece it, just pop it down, and it did, but the wine just freaking gushered, like
Oh
just
no.
just all over. I was like, all right, I'm drunk.
This is champagne
This is
wine.
champagne wine.